Next, we're going to take a look at one of the displacement properties, which is frizz. Now, frizz allows you to control the displacement along the guide curve. All right, we're going to continue working with the file that we were working with earlier. Now, if you've opened up lesson 26, you'll notice that the root splay here is not correctly visible based off the maps that we generated. So you could hit render and wait for it to render and solve, but another trick that you can do is go up here to the shave menu, down to update textures. Give it just a second and you'll notice our hair will shift and it will now utilize the maps for the preview that we have set up. All right, let me turn off my resolution gate here. And let's take a look at some of our other properties that are available to us in the frizz properties section here. Now, we're only going to discuss the top 5 properties here. We're going to save these, the frizz animation, animation speed, and direction for another lesson. Let's talk about the root frizz. Now, the best way to see the effect of these is to set them to 0 and watch what happens. Notice that all of the hairs now follow the guide curve, guide hairs, right? They're all straight, they're all even. So adding some frizz at the bottom here, and it's very difficult to see. The bottoms are very difficult to see, but they're not all straight. Some of them are bent, and they're all trying to follow the guide curve. Now watch what happens as I increase the top frizz. That becomes more and more visible. Okay, so let me try 20. Let's go 40, and I'm just going to keep increasing this so you can see how they are now being displaced away from the guide hairs. So this is a great way to create a gelled look for your character. Okay, now I do recommend you're going to want to keep a little bit of frizz just to make it look natural. So let's try 30. There we go. So it just breaks up the lines instead of having them all machined like this, 0. See how it's all very mechanical? It's too perfect. Yeah, depending on what kind of character you're going for and the look you're going for, you may want that perfect look. But a lot of times you're going to want to add that variation. So let's add a little bit at the bottom. Here we go. And it just creates a little fullness, a little randomness, breaks up the lines, breaks up the silhouette. Now you do have these noise directions that you can tweak, and since these hairs are all kind of pointing up, I don't need a lot of noise in the Y direction, so we can drop this down in half, let's say, to half of that. There we go. And it just depends on how you set these to the direction of the noise that you're going to be using. Okay, the strength here. So here we go. That looks really cool. So we'll just round that down to 200. Again, all of these can be animated, so you can create some really cool looks by tweaking these. And like I said, this is not a huge lesson on frizz, just because it's very easy to understand. Make sure you do have a little bit of frizz. By default, you have it, just because it adds a little more natural look to it. And as always, you can create maps to control exactly where you want most of your frizz to happen, and you can utilize a grayscale to use this as a multiplier.